The sky above Neo-Sol burned red like blood. Jiho pressed his face against the small window of the underground bunker and watched the alien ships float above the city. The Krethian Empire had come to finish what they started 3 months ago. Smoke rose from the buildings like black fingers reaching toward the alien fleet. The ships were huge, bigger than mountains, and they cast dark shadows over everything below. Jiho could see the blue lights on their hulls getting brighter. That meant they were charging their weapons again. "Get away from the window," Yuna called from behind him. His sister sat on a metal crate holding a bandage against her arm. Blood seeped through the white cloth. "The radiation is getting worse." Jiho turned away from the window. The bunker was small and crowded. 23 people had made it down here when the bombing started. Now only 7 were still alive. The others lay covered with sheets in the corner, their bodies too dangerous to move because of the radiation. Dr. Minho worked over a young woman named Sora. She was unconscious and her skin looked gray. Minho shook his head and pulled a sheet over her face. "That made 8 dead. How much time do we have?" asked Hana. She was a scientist who had worked with Yuna before the war. Her hands shook as she checked the radiation detector. The numbers on the screen kept getting higher. "Maybe 2 days," Minho said. He was the oldest person in the bunker, with gray hair and kind eyes. "The life support system is failing, and the radiation—" He did not finish the sentence. Hyun sat in the corner, working on a broken radio. He was an engineer, good with machines, but even he could not fix what the aliens had broken. "Still no signal from the other bunkers," he said. "I think we might be the last ones." Jiho sat next to his sister. Yuna was 3 years older than him and had always been the smart one. She worked for Earth Defense Intelligence, stealing alien codes and breaking their messages, but intelligence could not stop the orbital bombardment that had lasted for 3 days. "Do you remember when we were kids?" Yuna asked. Her voice was weak. "We used to play in the park near our house. You always wanted to be the space hero fighting the aliens." "Yeah," Jiho said. "But the aliens always lost in our games." Yuna smiled, but it looked painful. "Real life is different than games." The bunker shook as another explosion hit somewhere above them. Dust fell from the ceiling. The lights flickered and then came back on. Everyone held their breath and waited. "They are making sure nothing survived," said Wu, another engineer. He was younger than Hyun, maybe 25 years old. "They want to kill everything on Earth." Dr. Minho checked his radiation detector again. "The levels outside are already deadly. In a few hours, they will be deadly down here too." Jiho looked around the bunker. These people had been strangers to him before the bombing started. Now they were like family. They had shared food, water, and hope for 3 days. But hope was running out. Yuna reached into her pocket and pulled out a small data chip. "Jiho," she said, "I need you to take this." "What is it?" "Coordinates," she said, "to their homeworld, and security codes for their main palace. I stole them last week before the bombing started." Jiho stared at the chip. It was smaller than his thumb, made of black metal that felt cold. "Why are you giving this to me?" "Because you are going to survive this," Yuna said. "I can see it in your eyes. You are stronger than the rest of us. I am not stronger. I am just lucky." "Luck is not why you are still healthy while the rest of us are dying from radiation poisoning," Yuna said. "Your body fights it off somehow." "Minho noticed it too," Dr. Minho nodded. "Your blood tests show something different. Your cells repair radiation damage faster than normal. Much faster." Jiho had not thought about it. He felt tired and hungry, but he did not feel sick like the others. He did not have the gray skin or the bleeding that came with radiation sickness. "So what am I supposed to do with this?" He held up the data chip. "Make them pay," Yuna said. "For Sora, for everyone who died today, for the children who will never grow up." The bunker shook again. This time one of the lights went out and did not come back on. Hyun checked his instruments. "Main power is failing," he said. Over the next 6 hours, Jiho watched his friends die one by one. Hana went first, just falling asleep and never waking up. Then Wu started bleeding from his nose and could not stop. Hyun tried to fix the life support until the very end, even when his hands were shaking too much to hold his tools. Dr. Minho was the last one besides Yuna. He gave Jiho all the medical supplies and a small device that could detect radiation. "Find others if you can," Minho said. "But if you cannot, make sure someone remembers we were here." Yuna died while holding Jiho's hand. "Tell them we fought back," she whispered. "Tell them we never gave up." Jiho sat alone in the bunker for 3 more hours. The power finally failed completely. The air became thick and hard to breathe. He put on the radiation suit that Dr. Minho had saved for him and gathered supplies. Before he left, he looked at each of his dead friends. Yuna had been right. They were fighters. They had survived longer than anyone expected. And now it was his job to make sure the aliens knew that humans had existed. Jiho climbed the ladder to the surface. The radiation detector in his hand clicked rapidly, but he felt fine. Above ground, Neosol was gone. Just twisted metal and broken concrete remained. The alien ships had left, probably to report that Earth was dead, but they were wrong. Jiho was still alive, and he had their coordinates. He looked up at the red sky and made a promise to his sister and friends. The Crethian Empire thought they had won. They thought humanity was extinct. Soon they would learn how wrong they were. Jiho started walking through the ruins, carrying the data chip that would change everything. 3 years had passed since the last human died in the Neo-Sol bunker. 3 years since Jiho had walked out of the ruins alone. The Earth was still dead, but Jiho was very much alive. He stood on the observation deck of a stolen Crethian scout ship, watching a small alien outpost on the asteroid called Mining Station K-47. The station was supposed to be collecting rare metals for the Empire. What the Crethians did not know was that their station would be gone by morning. Jiho had changed a lot in 3 years. His body was stronger now, built by years of hard work and fighting. His black hair was longer and his face had scars from battles with alien soldiers. But the biggest change was in his eyes. They were cold now, like ice that never melted. He pressed a button on the control panel. "Station K-47, this is Transport Ship Blue 7 requesting permission to dock," he said in perfect Crethian language. The words felt strange in his mouth, but he had practiced for months to sound exactly like them. "Transport Blue 7, you are not on our schedule," came the reply from the station. "Emergency supply delivery," Jiho said. "We have medical supplies for the sick workers." There was a pause. Then, "Permission granted. Dock at Bay 3. Jiho smiled, but it was not a happy smile. The Crethians always believed what they wanted to hear. They could not imagine that someone would lie to them. They were too proud. He docked the ship and walked out wearing a stolen Crethian uniform. The uniform was made for someone taller, but it worked well enough. The guards at the dock did not look at him carefully. To them, he was just another worker. Jiho walked through the station like he belonged there. He had studied Crethian bases for 2 years. They all looked the same. Long metal hallways, blue lights, and the smell of their strange food. The aliens were creatures of habit. In the control room, he found what he was looking for. Commander Zoltek stood with his back turned, looking at screens that showed mining reports. Zoltek was tall and thin with purple skin and 4 arms. His rank meant he had probably killed many humans during the war. "Commander," Jiho said in Crethian. Zoltek turned around. "Who are you?" "I do not recognize you." "I am someone you should remember," Jiho said. He pulled off his helmet and showed his human face. Zoltek's 4 eyes went wide. "Impossible. Humans are extinct. We killed them all. You killed most of us," Jiho said. He pulled out a weapon he had taken from another dead alien. "But not all. Guards." Zoltek shouted, but Jiho had already disabled the communication system. No one could hear the commander's calls for help. "Sit down," Jiho said, pointing the weapon at Zoltek. "We need to talk." The alien commander sat in his chair, all 4 hands shaking. "What do you want?" "Information," Jiho said. "About your homeworld. About your emperor's palace. About how many humans you killed before you destroyed Earth." "I will tell you nothing, human scum." Jiho walked to a wall screen and turned it on. The screen showed video files that he had brought with him. Images of Earth before the bombing. Children playing in parks. Families having dinner. People laughing and singing. "These are the humans you killed," Jiho said. "Watch them." On the screen, a young girl with black hair ran through a playground. She was laughing and trying to catch bubbles that floated in the air. "That was my sister Yuna when she was 6 years old," Jiho said. "She grew up to be very smart. She worked in intelligence like you do." Zoltek tried to look away, but Jiho grabbed the alien's head with both hands and forced him to watch. "She died slowly from radiation poisoning," Jiho continued. "It took her 8 hours to die. She was in pain the whole time." "Do you know what radiation poisoning feels like, Commander?" "Stop this," Zoltek said. "You burned our children alive from space," Jiho said. "You turned our cities into glass. You made our air poison. And then you celebrated. The video changed to show more children, boys and girls playing games, going to school, hugging their parents. All of them dead now because of the Krithian Empire. Tell me about your emperor's palace, Jiho said. Tell me how to get inside. Even if I tell you, you cannot win, Zoltek said. You are one human against an entire empire. Maybe, Jiho said. But I have already destroyed 12 of your outposts. I have killed 47 of your soldiers, and your empire still thinks humans are extinct. This was true. For 2 years, Jiho had been attacking small Krithian bases. He made each attack look like an accident or equipment failure. The aliens never suspected that a human was responsible. Your attacks mean nothing, Zoltek said. We have thousands of ships and millions of soldiers. But you do not have fear, Jiho said. And that is why you will lose. He spent the next 4 hours making Zoltek watch videos of Earth. Every time the alien tried to close his eyes, Jiho forced them open. Every time Zoltek tried to look away, Jiho turned his head back to the screen. These children had names, Jiho said. They had dreams. They wanted to grow up and see the stars. But you killed them all. By the end, Zoltek was crying. Jiho had not known that Krithians could cry, but green tears ran down the commander's purple face. The palace, Zoltek said finally. There are service tunnels under the main building. Old pipes and wires. The guards do not watch them because they are too small for Krithians to use. But not too small for a human, Jiho said. Yes, Zoltek whispered. The Emperor's throne room is on the top floor. There are 60 guards, but they watch for ships and large attacks. They do not expect someone to come from below. What else? Zoltek told him about the palace defenses, the guard schedules, and the Emperor's daily routine. He told Jiho everything he knew, all while watching videos of dead human children. When Zoltek finished talking, he looked at Jiho with tired eyes. Will you kill me now? Yes, Jiho said. But first you are going to send a message to your empire. He forced Zoltek to record a transmission. The alien commander's voice shook as he spoke into the communicator. This is Commander Zoltek of Mining Station K-47. The human, it is impossible. They are supposed to be extinct. But he is here. He knows about the children. He knows about... Jiho cut the transmission and shot Zoltek. The alien commander fell from his chair and did not move again. Jiho set bombs throughout the mining station and returned to his ship. As he flew away, the station exploded behind him like a small star. He watched the explosion and thought about his sister's last words. The Krithian Empire would receive Zoltek's message in a few hours. They would wonder what it meant. Some of them might even be worried, but they would not be worried enough. Not yet. Jiho looked at the data chip that Yuna had given him 3 years ago. It contained the coordinates to the Krithian homeworld. Soon he would use those coordinates. Soon the Empire would learn that declaring humanity extinct had been a mistake. He set course for another mining station, this one on the edge of Krithian space. There were more aliens to kill, more fear to spread, and there were more videos of human children to show them before they died. The war was not over. It was just beginning. Jiho walked through the slave markets of Krithia Prime like he belonged there. His face was covered by a breathing mask and his body was hidden under loose worker clothes. To anyone watching, he looked like one of the many alien slaves who served the Empire. The slave markets were loud and smelled bad. Hundreds of different alien species were bought and sold like animals. The Krithians stood on raised platforms, pointing at slaves and calling out prices. The slaves stood in metal cages, their eyes empty of hope. Jiho stopped in front of a cage that held 3 Velhari. The Velhari were tall and thin with smooth gray skin and large black eyes. They could read minds, which made them valuable as servants but dangerous as enemies. The Krithians cut special scars into their heads to stop them from using their full mental powers. One of the Velhari, a female with kind eyes, looked at Jiho. Her mouth did not move, but he heard her voice in his mind. You are not what you appear to be. Jiho moved closer to the cage and pretended to examine the slaves like a buyer. Neither are you, he thought back to her. The Velhari's eyes widened. Most aliens could not speak back to them mentally. Your mind is strange, she said in his thoughts, full of anger and sadness, but also any hope. What is your name? Jiho asked. Kira, she replied. I was a teacher before the Empire came to our world. Now I am property. How long have the Krithians ruled your people? 40 years, Kira said. They came with promises of peace and trade. Then they took our children and made them into slaves. Those who fought back were killed. Jiho had heard this story before. The Crethians always used the same method. They promised friendship, then destroyed the civilizations from within. What if I told you there was a way to fight back? Jiho thought to her. Kira stared at him for a long moment. I would say you are either very brave or very foolish. Probably both. The Empire thinks humans are extinct, Jiho said. They are wrong. That night, Jiho met with Kira and 2 other Velhari in an abandoned building. He had bought them with stolen Crethian money and taken them to a safe place. The building had been a school once before the Empire turned it into a storage facility. My people call you the Wanderer, Kira said. Word spreads quickly among slaves. They say you appear like a ghost, destroy Crethian bases, and vanish again. What else do they say? That you give hope to those who had forgotten what hope felt like, said Lorik, one of the other Velhari. He was older than Kira, and had scars covering most of his gray skin. But they also say you are angry. Angry enough to burn down the universe. Maybe I am, Jiho said. Over the next 3 months, Jiho built a network of allies among the Empire's slaves. The Velhari helped him read the minds of Crethian guards and officials. The Gorthaks, who were strong and tough like living rocks, helped him with heavy lifting and fighting. The Quintari, small creatures who were very good with technology, helped him break into computer systems and steal information. Each group told him the same story. The Crethians had come to their worlds with promises of peace. Then they had enslaved the survivors and erased their histories. Their children were taken away and raised as servants who did not even remember their real names. How many worlds have they destroyed? Jiho asked during a meeting with his new allies. Many, said Thorak, a Gorthak warrior who had lost his family in the conquest of his world. But no one keeps count anymore. The Empire makes us forget. I keep count, said Pip, a small Quintari with golden fur and bright green eyes. In my memory banks, 17 civilizations completely destroyed, 43 others enslaved or controlled, 17. The number made Jiho's heart hurt. Earth was just one of 17 worlds that had been completely wiped out. How many children like Yuna had died? How many families had been destroyed? Show me, Jiho said. Pip connected her small computer to a wall screen. Images appeared of beautiful worlds that no longer existed. Cities of crystal and light now turned to dust. Forests that had grown for millions of years now burned to ash. Oceans full of life now empty and dead. The Crethians do not just kill, Pip said. They erase. They delete history files, destroy art, burn books. They want to make sure that no one remembers these civilizations ever existed. But you remember, Jiho said. I remember everything, Pip said sadly. It is my curse and my gift. That night, Jiho sat alone in the abandoned school and thought about the 17 dead worlds. Each one had been full of people like him. People who had loved their families, who had dreams for the future, who had believed they would live to see their children grow up. The Crethians had taken all of that away, not just from humans, but from 17 different species, and they were not done. They would keep spreading across the galaxy, destroying everything beautiful and free. But as Jiho sat in the darkness, his computer made a soft beeping sound. A message had arrived on a secret channel that he had been monitoring for 2 years. The message was in human code, still alive. 12 survivors with me in the outer. Rim Junho. Jiho stared at the screen for a long time. Junho, his childhood friend who had joined the Earth Defense Force. Jiho had thought all the Earth soldiers were dead. He typed back quickly. This is Jiho, where are you? The reply came an hour later. Sector 9, hidden base on planet Kresh 4. We have been fighting for 3 years. Thought we were the only ones left. You are not alone anymore, Jiho wrote. There are others who want to fight the Empire. Many others. How many? Hunyo asked. Jiho looked around the abandoned school. In other buildings across the city, his alien allies were planning raids and gathering information. Word of the Wanderer was spreading to other worlds. Slaves were starting to believe that freedom was possible. Enough, Jiho typed. We need to meet. There is something big we need to do. What? Jiho thought about the coordinates that Yuna had given him 3 years ago. He thought about the Crethian emperor sitting on his throne, believing that he ruled over a peaceful galaxy. The emperor had no idea that a human was walking through his capital city, building an army of the enslaved and the forgotten. We are going to visit the emperor, Jiho wrote. We are going to remind him that extinct species have a way of coming back. The next morning, Jiho met with Kira and the others. He told them about the other human survivors and about his plan to attack the heart of the Empire. The throne room? Thorax said. That is madness. It is the most protected place in the galaxy. Maybe, Jiho said. But the Crethians have one weakness. They believe their own lies. They think they are safe because they think we are all dead or broken. And you want to prove them wrong, Kira said. I want to do more than that, Jiho said. I want to show every slave in the galaxy that the Empire can bleed. That even the Emperor is just another alien who can die. Kira read his thoughts for a moment. When she was done, her face was sad but determined. You are planning to die in that throne room, aren't you? Maybe, Jiho said. But before I die, I am going to make sure the Emperor knows the names of every world he destroyed. Every child he killed. Every dream he crushed. Then we will help you, Thorax said. My people died fighting. It would be an honor to die fighting beside the Wanderer. As will mine, Pip added. Someone should witness the Empire's end. Jiho looked at his alien friends and felt something he had not felt since Yuna died. He felt like he was part of a family again. A family made of different species, all united by their hatred of the Empire and their love for their dead. Then let's begin, he said. We have an emperor to visit. The hidden base on planet Kresh 4 was built inside an old mining cave. The air smelled of metal and rock dust, and water dripped from the ceiling into small pools. But to Jiho, it was the most beautiful place he had seen in 3 years. 12 human faces looked back at him from around a metal table. 12 people who should have been dead but had somehow survived the destruction of Earth. 12 flames that had refused to go out in the darkness. Junho looked older than Jiho remembered. His black hair was streaked with gray now, and deep lines marked his face. But his eyes were still the same, still full of the determination that had made him a good soldier. I cannot believe you are alive, Junho said for the 10th time since Jiho had arrived. When Earth fell, we thought everyone in the cities was dead. Everyone was dead, Jiho said. Except me. Nari sat next to Junho. She had been a pilot in the Earth Defense Force, one of the best. Her left arm was gone now, replaced with a mechanical one that the Quintari had built for her. We saw the orbital bombardment from space, she said. The whole planet was burning. How did you escape? Asked Wu, a young man who worked with computers and alien technology. His hands were covered with small scars from working with alien machines. We were on a patrol mission in the outer system when the attack came, Junho explained. By the time we got back to Earth, it was too late. We tried to help, but... He stopped talking and looked down at the table. But there was no one left to help, finished Nari. So we ran. We have been running and fighting for 3 years. Jiho looked around the table at the other faces. Some he recognized from before the war. Others were strangers, but they were all human, and they were all alive. Tell me about your war, Jiho said. For the next 2 hours they shared their stories. How they had attacked Crethian supply ships and rescued alien slaves. How they had lost friends in battles that no one would remember. How they had learned to hate with a pure, clean hatred that burned like a star. We hit them when they do not expect it, said Mika, a woman who had been a teacher before the war. Then we disappear before they can fight back. Like ghosts, added Jin, a young man who could not have been more than 20 years old. But it is not enough, Junho said. We hurt them, but we do not scare them. They still think humans are extinct. They still believe they won. That is about to change, Jiho said. He told them about his network of alien allies, about the Velhari who could read minds, the Gorthaks who were strong as tanks, and the Quintari who could break any computer code. He told them about the growing resistance among the slaves and how word of the Wanderer was spreading to every Crethian world. You built an army, Nari said with wonder in her voice. We built an army, Jiho corrected. Humans and aliens together, all united by the same goal, which is, asked Wu Jiho pulled out the data chip that Yuna had given him. To walk into the Emperor's throne room and remind him that dead species have a way of coming back. The room went quiet. Everyone stared at the small chip in Jiho's hand. The Imperial Palace, Junho said slowly. You want to attack the Imperial Palace? Yes, that is suicide, Nari said. Even if we had 100 ships, we could not break through their defenses. We do not need 100 ships, Jiho said. We need something the Empire does not expect. We need to make them afraid. Wu leaned forward. What do you have in mind? Jiho spread out plans and maps on the table. Intelligence that his alien allies had gathered over months of careful work. There are service tunnels under the palace, small ones that were built for maintenance. The Crethians do not guard them because they are too small for their soldiers to use. But not too small for humans, Junho said, understanding. The plan is simple, Jiho continued. While our alien allies create distractions across the galaxy, one person enters the palace through the tunnels. One person walks into the throne room while the Emperor feels safe and protected. One person? Mika asked. That really is suicide. Maybe, Jiho said. But it will also be the most important moment in the war. When the Emperor sees a human standing in front of him, when he realizes that his genocide was not complete, the Empire will never feel safe again. And what happens to the person in the throne room? Asked Jin. Jiho met the young man's eyes. They die, but their death will have meaning. The room was quiet again. Everyone understood what Jiho was really saying. He planned to be the one who walked into that throne room. He planned to die there. No, Nari said firmly. We did not survive 3 years of war just to watch you throw your life away. We go together or we do not go at all. She is right, Junho agreed. A team has better chances than one person. A team makes noise, Jiho said. A team gets caught. One person can move like a ghost. One person cannot fight 60 guards, Wu pointed out. One person does not need to fight them, Jiho said. One person just needs to reach the Emperor. Just needs to look him in the eyes and speak for all the dead. They argued for hours. Nari wanted to lead a strike team through the front entrance. Wu thought they should hack the palace computer systems and attack from inside. Yunyo believed they should hit military targets instead and leave the Emperor for later. But Jiho knew the truth that they did not want to accept. This was not about winning a war in the normal way. This was about something more important. This was about making sure the galaxy remembered that humans had existed and that they had fought back. The Empire thinks we are extinct, Jiho said finally. 17 civilizations before us thought they could negotiate with the Crethians. 17 civilizations believed that if they were reasonable and peaceful, they would be allowed to live. All 17 were wrong. He stood up and walked to a wall where someone had hung flags from different worlds. Earth's flag was there, along with flags from the Velhari homeworld, the Gorthak system, and dozens of others. All of them represented civilizations that the Empire had destroyed. The Crethians do not negotiate, Jiho continued. They do not show mercy. They only understand fear, and right now they are not afraid of us. So you want to scare them, Junho said. I want to terrify them, Jiho said. I want every Crethian in the galaxy to wake up at night wondering if there is a human standing in their room. I want them to be afraid of their own shadows. Mika stood up and walked to Jiho. And you think dying in the throne room will accomplish that? I think walking into the throne room will accomplish that, Jiho said. Whether I die there or not is less important. The next day they began planning in earnest. The alien allies would coordinate attacks across 12 star systems, stretching the Empire's forces thin. Hidden resistance cells would sabotage communication networks and supply lines. And while the Empire was distracted, Jiho would slip into the palace like a ghost. On the last night before the mission, Jiho sat alone in his small room and recorded a message. The message was for any humans who might survive the coming battle, and for any aliens who might remember this moment in the future. My name is Jiho, he said to the camera. I am 26 years old and I am the last survivor of the Neo-Soul bunker on Earth. My sister was named Yuna. She was smart and kind and she never hurt anyone. The Crethian Empire killed her with radiation bombs because they were afraid of what humans might become. In a few hours, I am going to walk into their Emperor's throne room. I'm going to look him in the eyes and tell him the names of every world he destroyed. I am going to make sure he knows that extinction is not permanent. If you are watching this, it means that some of us survived. It means that the human spirit refused to die, even when death seemed certain. Remember us. Remember all of us. Remember that we fought back and that we never bowed. We were here, we mattered, and we will never be forgotten. Jiho turned off the camera and prepared for the mission that would either end the war or end his life. Probably both. Outside his room, he could hear his friends checking weapons and reviewing plans. 12 humans and hundreds of alien allies all preparing to remind the galaxy what happened when you tried to erase entire civilizations. The Empire had declared humanity extinct. Tomorrow they would learn how wrong they were. The service tunnel was dark and narrow. barely wide enough for Jiho to crawl through. Metal pipes and thick cables ran along the walls, carrying power and water to the imperial palace above. The air was hot and smelled of oil and electricity. Jiho had been crawling for 2 hours. His knees and elbows were bleeding from scraping against the rough metal, but he did not stop. Somewhere above him, Emperor Krathanor sat on his throne, believing he was safe in the most protected building in the galaxy. Through his earpiece, Jiho could hear reports from the resistance attacks happening across the Empire. Junho's voice crackled through the static. Supply depot on Krenon 7 is down. The Gorthaks really know how to blow things up. Nari's voice followed. 3 patrol ships destroyed in the Velhari system. The locals are celebrating in the streets. The attacks were working. The Empire's forces were scattered and confused, trying to respond to dozens of raids at the same time. No one was looking for a single human crawling through maintenance tunnels. Jiho reached a junction where 4 tunnels met. According to his map, he needed to go up now. He found a ladder that led to the palace's main levels and began to climb. The ladder was long and dark. As he climbed, Jiho thought about all the people who had died to bring him to this moment. Yuna and the others in the bunker, the alien slaves who had given their lives to gather intelligence, the resistance fighters who were dying right now in battles across the galaxy. He climbed for them all. The ladder ended at a maintenance hatch. Jiho listened carefully, then opened it a crack. He was in a storage room filled with cleaning, supplies and tools. Perfect. He slipped through the hatch and closed it. Behind him, now he was inside the Imperial Palace. The hallways were just as Zolthek had described them, long and wide with high ceilings and walls made of black stone. Blue lights provided a cold, harsh glow. Alien artwork covered the walls, but Jiho recognized most of it. Stolen treasures from the civilizations that the Empire had destroyed. He saw a crystal sculpture from the Velhari homeworld, a golden statue from the Gorthak system, and hanging on the wall like a trophy, the flag of Earth. Jiho stopped in front of the Earth flag. It was burned and torn, probably taken from one of the government buildings during the bombing. Someone had written alien words across it in red paint. Jiho could read Krethian now, and he knew what the words said. Extinct species number 17. He touched the flag gently, remembering the day it had been raised for the first time over the United Earth building in New York. His grandfather had been there, had told him stories about that day. Now his grandfather was dead, New York was gone, and the flag was a trophy in an alien museum. Not anymore, Jiho whispered. He moved through the palace like a ghost, avoiding guards and security cameras. The Krethians were proud creatures who loved to show off their power. The palace was full of displays showing their military strength and their conquered worlds. But it was also full of blind spots where a small, careful human could hide. As he got closer to the throne room, Jiho could hear voices. The Emperor was holding court, meeting with his generals and advisors. Through his earpiece, he heard Wu's voice. Communication networks across 5 systems are down. They cannot coordinate their defenses. The resistance was succeeding beyond their best hopes. But none of that mattered if Jiho could not reach the throne room. He found the service entrance that Zolthek had told him about. A small door hidden behind a tapestry, used by servants to bring food and drinks to the Emperor. The door was not guarded because no one expected an attack to come from inside the palace. Jiho opened the door and stepped into the throne room. The room was huge, with a ceiling that seemed to reach into the sky. Columns of black stone supported the roof, and the walls were covered with more stolen art from dead civilizations. At the far end of the room, Emperor Krathanor sat on a throne made of metal and crystal. The Emperor was bigger than any Krethian that Jiho had seen before. He was at least 3 meters tall, with 6 arms and skin that was almost black. His eyes were like burning coals, and when he spoke, his voice echoed through the room. The reports from the outer systems are troubling, the Emperor was saying to his advisors. These attacks seem coordinated, but that is impossible. All the warrior species are dead or enslaved. Perhaps it is pirates. My Emperor, suggested one of the advisors, a smaller Krethian with pale purple skin. Pirates do not attack 12 systems at once, the Emperor replied. This feels like a rebellion. Jiho stepped out from behind the tapestry and walked into the throne room. His footsteps echoed on the stone floor. The advisors turned to look at him, their faces confused. They saw a small figure in a dark cloak walking calmly toward their Emperor. Guards, one of them shouted. Intruder in the throne room. But Jiho was already pulling back his hood, showing his human face to the assembled Krethians. The room went completely silent. Emperor Krathanor stared at Jiho with his burning eyes. "Impossible," he whispered. "Humans are extinct. I watched their world burn." "You watched one world burn?" Jiho said, his voice clear and strong in the silent room. "But you never understood what humanity really was." Guards were running into the room now, their weapons raised. But the Emperor held up one of his 6 hands, stopping them. He wanted to hear what the impossible human had to say. "We killed all of you," the Emperor said. "Every last one. I have the reports." "Your reports were wrong," Jiho said. He continued walking toward the throne, his hands empty and visible. "Humans are hard to kill. We have a bad habit of surviving things that should destroy us. Even if some of you lived, you are nothing," the Emperor said. "One species against an empire of thousands." Jiho smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "I am not just here for humanity, Emperor. I am here for all of them." He pulled out a small device and activated it. Images appeared in the air above the throne room, projected by alien technology that Pip had given him. The images showed the 17 civilizations that the Empire had destroyed. "The Velhari," Jiho said as images of tall, gray-skinned aliens appeared. "Teachers and healers who never hurt anyone. You enslaved them because you were afraid of their mental powers." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. The Velhari were dangerous. They could control minds. "The Andromedans," Jiho continued, and new images appeared. Beautiful aliens with silver skin and wings like butterflies. Artists and musicians who created beauty wherever they went. You killed them because their songs made your slaves remember freedom. "Stop this," the Emperor commanded. But Jiho did not stop. For the next 10 minutes, he showed images of every civilization that the Empire had destroyed. He spoke their names and told their stories. He made sure that everyone in the throne room knew exactly what the Empire had taken from the galaxy. 17 civilizations, Jiho said when he finished. Billions of lives, trillions of dreams, all destroyed because you were afraid. We were not afraid, the Emperor roared, standing up from his throne. We were bringing order to the galaxy. You were terrified, Jiho said calmly. Terrified that these civilizations might grow strong enough to challenge you. Terrified that they might unite against you. Terrified that they might inspire others to be free. Through his earpiece, Jiho heard Junho's voice. All primary targets are down. The Empire's communication network is in chaos. And then Nari's voice. Jiho, you magnificent bastard, the whole galaxy is rising up. Every slave world is in rebellion. The Emperor heard the voices too, coming from Jiho's earpiece. His face turned even darker. You, he whispered. You organized this. We organized this, Jiho corrected. Humans and Velhari and Gorthax and Quintari. All the species you thought were broken. All the slaves you thought would never fight back. Alarms began ringing throughout the palace. Red lights flashed as reports came in from across the Empire. Slave rebellions on 50 worlds. Krethian bases under attack. Supply lines cut. The Empire's perfect order was falling apart. Kill him! The Emperor shouted to his guards. But before the guards could move, the throne room doors exploded inward. Thorak the Gorthak charged through the smoke, followed by Kira and dozens of other resistance fighters. The careful plan had changed. Jiho's friends had decided that he should not die alone. The throne room erupted in chaos. Guards fired their weapons while resistance fighters fired back. Aliens who had been slaves that morning fought like warriors from ancient legends. In the middle of the battle, Jiho walked calmly toward the Emperor's throne. Weapons fire passed around him, but he seemed protected by something beyond luck. Maybe it was destiny. Maybe it was the combined will of 17 dead civilizations. Emperor Krathanor raised his own weapon, a staff that crackled with energy. You want to kill me, human? Try. I do not want to kill you, Jiho said. I want you to live. I want you to spend the rest of your life knowing that extinction is not permanent. I want you to wake up every night wondering if the ghosts of the dead are coming for you. The Emperor fired his weapon, but Jiho was already moving. The energy blast hit the stone floor where he had been standing. Jiho rolled behind one of the columns and came up with a weapon he had taken from a fallen guard. The galaxy will remember this day, Jiho called out. They will remember that the mighty Krethian Empire was brought down by the species they thought were extinct. The battle raged for another hour,